How long do you plan to stay in Ireland?
I want forever. I'm Irish now.
How long have you been here in Ireland for?
9 months ago.
9 months. What country are you from?
I come from Jordan, but I'm from Syria.
And how come you wanted to come to Ireland?
I ask, okay, when call me somebody from UN, he tell me, can you go to Sweden, to Germany, to 5 countries maybe. But I know my friends here in Ireland, very good everything in Ireland. I'm Muslim, here no problem.
Where do you live? Do you have house or do you stay in the hotel?
No, I'm in Iraq Center now.
So does Ireland give you any money every month?
Yeah.
How much money do they give you?
Every week, I'm married. I have 3 daughters, my children. I take same €500 in 1 week.
So every week the Ireland government gives you $500?
Yeah.
How many family or friends came with you to Ireland?
With me come in 9 families, but after me come in also maybe 30 families from Jordan. Yeah.
A Syrian migrant's declaration of "I'm Irish now," made while reportedly receiving your $500 per week in state benefits, has ignited a firestorm of political controversy across Ireland, with critics pointing to the comment as emblematic of a larger crisis in national identity, social policy, and the sustainability of immigration systems. The man, whose identity has not been officially disclosed, arrived in Ireland as part of a group of over 30 Syrian families, reportedly seeking asylum and resettlement after fleeing war-torn regions of Syria. While such resettlements are not new to Ireland's humanitarian approach to global crises, the recent media coverage of this particular individual's confident declaration of Irish identity, combined with financial figures that have provoked public ire, has brought fresh scrutiny to Ireland's migrant policies and the government's handling of the housing and welfare crises. The phrase "I'm Irish now" was uttered during a local interview conducted outside a direct provision centre, where newly arrived asylum seekers are often housed while their cases are reviewed. Though on its face, a testament to the aspirational success of Ireland's inclusive values, the soundbite has since been seized upon by critics as an uncomfortable example of what they describe as a rapid cultural shift occurring without sufficient public consultation. "The Irish people have never been asked if they want this level of immigration," said independent TD Michael Collins in a recent Dáil session. "We have thousands of our own citizens sleeping in cars, unable to afford rent, while we offer generous weekly payments to people who have never contributed a cent to the system. Indeed, the alleged €500 weekly stipend, which government officials insist includes a combination of child allowances, housing support, and food stipends rather than direct cash payments, has become a flashpoint in the national conversation. Social media platforms are awash in viral clips, memes, and commentary using the migrants' quote as a rallying cry for both anti-immigration sentiments and, paradoxically, a defense of open borders. "We have always stood on the side of compassion, and these families are fleeing unimaginable horrors," O'Gorman said. "The idea that these supports are a handout is misleading. They are temporary and essential lifelines for people starting over from nothing." The government insists that the majority of new arrivals will eventually transition into the workforce, contributing to the economy and paying taxes. However, critics argue that the system is not set up for accountability or integration, especially when Irish citizens continue to face soaring rents, hospital waiting lists, and inadequate infrastructure. For Ireland, the question now is whether this single phrase, "I'm Irish now," will become a symbol of successful integration or a cautionary tale of state overreach and cultural dilution. Little is known about the man whose words have become a national talking point. Local volunteers who've worked with the group describe him as kind, eager to learn English, and grateful to be in Ireland. As Ireland navigates its dual identity as both a nation of immigrants and a haven for immigrants, one thing is clear: the debate over how to balance compassion with pragmatism is far from over.
1,000 other young white girls like you. What do you feel that there will now be no inquiries whatsoever into what went wrong?
I think it wasn't good enough in January when they come up with these 5 inquiries anyway. I think survivors across the country, you know, from towns and cities, from the towns and cities that they come from, and they haven't had any inquiries. I'm from a town that has had inquiries, and I think to get the survivors up that they might find justice and truth within their towns or cities, and then to be let down like they were yesterday, I think it's not just morally wrong, it's quite cruel.
Yeah, that's a good point, Elizabeth. I mean, you're right. I mean, when Labour said, because we're all demanding, I mean, for the sake of you and for the sake of all the other victims and for the sake of a furious nation, we were all demanding in January, look, you owe us a national public inquiry into this. And they said, oh, no. I'll tell you what, how about 5 local inquiries? As you say, Elizabeth, that was nowhere near good enough, because actually this was going on all over the country, not just in 5 local areas. So that wasn't good enough, but at least it was something. So yesterday, when they called it off, you felt that was just a very cruel decision.
It was, yeah. You know, we've spent years and years wanting justice, truth, you know, and just to be recognised of what we were, victims. And victims.
In a deeply disturbing and emotionally charged interview broadcast by Yet of Kev, Elizabeth, a survivor of the notorious Rotherham grooming gangs, bravely recounted her harrowing ordeal, detailing the traumatic 10 weeks she endured while imprisoned, drugged and repeatedly abused by multiple men. Her painful testimony not only shines a renewed spotlight on one of Britain's most horrifying child sexual exploitation scandals, but also raises pointed criticism against political figures accused of neglecting victims for partisan reasons. Elizabeth specifically condemned Jess Phillips, the Labour MP for Birmingham Yardley, accusing her of showing indifference during crucial discussions about the ongoing crisis of grooming gangs. Jess Phillips has chosen politics over what is right, Elizabeth stated forcefully during her interview. For her to sit there today and look bored is infuriating. The survivor's rebuke underscores a broader frustration among victims and their advocates who feel their suffering continues to be sidelined or ignored due to political convenience or discomfort. Phillips, known widely as a vocal advocate for women's rights and a frequent participant in parliamentary debates concerning domestic violence and sexual exploitation, now faces scrutiny over perceptions of her behavior during discussion and empathy. Elizabeth's account adds renewed urgency to conversations surrounding the political class's response to grooming scandals, especially those involving perpetrators predominantly from minority ethnic backgrounds. The Rotherham scandal itself became emblematic of systemic failures in protecting vulnerable children, leading to widespread criticism of local authorities and law enforcement for fears of appearing racially insensitive. Elizabeth identified Shafina Ali as the individual responsible for initially grooming her, illustrating the complexity and depth of betrayal involved in these cases. Critics argue that Jess Phillips' alleged disengagement illustrates a wider political malaise in addressing grooming gangs robustly and transparently. Advocates like Elizabeth call for stronger bipartisan leadership on this highly sensitive issue, asserting that victims' rights and justice must transcend political calculations. In light of Elizabeth's powerful testimony, pressure mounts on Phillips and her parliamentary colleagues to demonstrate clear, compassionate engagement and proactive leadership to combat grooming gangs effectively. Elizabeth's courage in speaking out serves as a stark reminder to politicians across the spectrum. The voices of victims demand and deserve unequivocal respect, attention, and action,